You would have made a great lawyer, John.
Yeah, I would have tried. I should have.
And I'm actually being serious. You would have made a great lawyer. Some of that IQ passed over to you. I mean, you got to take some credit.
Thank you.
Because,
I'm not a pimple on my father's ass. I promise you.
No, I'm just telling you. Just listening to you make the case. It's very impressive how you communicate. I think there's a few things that's been my takeaway from this. I go home tonight. My wife's going to say, "Babe, how was the conversation with John Gotti Jr.?" I'm going to say, "Babe."
Actually, I'm John A.
John A. Right.
Yeah, my father's Junior. People don't know that, but he's Junior. My father's John Gotti. My father's Junior.
I didn't know that.
My father's siblings all called him Junior. Nobody called him Johnny.
I didn't know that.
They all called him Junior. I'm the third, technically, and my son John's the fourth, and somehow it got confused.
I thought he was the third.
It got confused.
Oh, okay.
So I'm John A, the third, and my son John Gotti is the fourth, but for his boxing promotion, they made him the third.
Yeah.
And they made me Junior, and I don't even, and media made me Junior as well.
Well,
Because it had a better ring to it.
My wife always asks me, she says, "Babe, we were doing election night podcast, and I went 8 hours straight sitting down with 2,000 people in front of me. Now, once I went to the bathroom. John, I have so much respect for you.
I appreciate it.
You've not gone to the restroom one time yet. No. We've been going through this entire conversation.
I could go another 2-3 hours.
Your fire is incredible. Yeah. Just listening to these stories.
For a 60-year-old man.
But that's why I said when I looked at you when you walked in, I'm like, yeah. John, you look good.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I appreciate you coming out, this conversation. I hope we'll do a couple more in the future as well. On your flight back, just consider on if we were to do a sit down together with pray about it, because Sammy's found God. When you hear Sammy,
I couldn't have respect for my father. I would never even be in the room with the guy. I couldn't do it. Listen, look, I don't know, but I do know. Sammy Gravano can't go back to the old neighborhood. He can't. He can pretend to. He can sneak in, like the rest of these rats do. I eat in the restaurants I've always eaten in my whole life. Could I eat in those restaurants and go to those places if I would sit in a room with someone like a Sam Gravano? No. And I still have, again, I'm 26 years removed from that life. I'm a civilian. I'm proud of my position where I am right now. I'm proud of my accomplishments. However, when I watch the movies, I still root for a certain kind of a bad guy. I always do. It's in my heart. It is in my heart. And there's individuals that I left behind in that life, and there's individuals I left in prison that every holiday I get very sentimental about, especially the fellows in prison. Believe me, I always have a drink alone before I start to do anything on any holiday. I have it alone for them. And then I always have one again at the end of the night for them. Respect for my brothers that I left in prison, my cellmate who was doing Life Plus, and other individuals. I always do. That's who I am. I could never be in a room with a guy like that who put so many people in prison, destroyed so many families. Look, in my book, I talk about the necessity of certain things in life. And in a civilized society, we need strong law enforcement. We need them. We need a non-corrupt FBI. We need that. We need it. It's essential to survive. We need it. We need great investigative tools to give us the freedoms that we enjoy in this society. We need all of that. And you want to know something? To make certain cases, I guess you need cooperators. You do. Donald Trump saying flipping should be illegal, I don't agree. What I disagree, what he should have said, and again, saying what you were saying, that certain questions should be asked. When I watch Donald Trump talk at times, I'm like this. Oh, he's going to answer this just like, and he frustrates me. He frustrates me. And he's a likable guy, but he frustrates me in some respects. But I say to myself all the time, I said, cooperators, I guess they are somewhat a necessity to a point. Here's the problem. Most federal judges do not know that when they go in front of them with that magic letter, that 5K letter, that's magic, they go with that letter, and they say what great assistance he gave to us and so on and so forth, and they reduce the sentence and release them immediately. They believe that they were releasing this person to the witness protection program under the strict supervision of both the FBI and the U.S. Marshal Service. They believe that's happening. They do. They don't know that at any time, if life gets a little tricky, and the Marshal Service, they are stringent. When you're in their program, they want you to work. You're supposed to be gainfully employed, They get you a car, they give you a budget to live, but they want you to get a job and they want to make sure you're paying your taxes and yada, yada, yada. Most of these witnesses aren't going to adhere to those rules. So what do? They just sign themselves out and they're in the wind. Now, if a judge knew that you have the ability at any time, you were dangerous yesterday. You did 19 murders, 20 murders, you held without bail. The U.S. Attorney's Office felt you were so dangerous, you should never be released because this guy did a murder, he did this. Then all of a sudden, now he cooperated, he's less dangerous? With a new identity? That nobody knows who he is or where he's at? I leave here right now, people know I'm John Gotti. That's who I am. If I go take a rock and break your window, you're going to see me, John Gotti broke that window. There it is. These guys have new identities, new driver's license, new everything. So that's why nobody could police these individuals. You think it's okay to release them into somebody else's community, okay, unwatched, unpoliced, and judges don't know this. Most federal judges aren't aware of this. They think that I'm releasing them, and the individual is going to go into the program, and if he does one thing wrong, he comes right back here. No. If he does anything wrong, that's it. There's no more time. He's done. Gravano said on the stand, he said, if I tell a lie, I'll do the rest of my life in jail. I'll tear up my agreement. Okay? That's what he said. He said it over and over again. Well, he got caught selling narcotics to kids, right? And the only reason why the federal government gave him a 20-year sentence is because Arizona already gave him that sentence. And that's like you turning around and saying that, yeah, we're going to do it too. He's not going to do any more time. He's going to do the time. Only the difference is he's going to do it in a federal protected unit, not in some state unit in Arizona where maybe he'd be more vulnerable. It'd be a little tougher that time for him. Instead, he went to a federal protected unit, okay? And the federal government mirrored the sentence. He got no additional time. None at all. Now, what happened to the life without parole? What happened to you being made accountable for 19 murders? What happened to all of that? What happened to it? You've just now violated. People are rotting in jail. People died in prison. Most of those guys he testified against already died in prison. They died in prison already, including my father. My father died a horrible death, handcuffed to a bed alone in solitary confinement, alone. Read his death certificate. You know what it says? His death certificate says he choked on his own vomit and blood. That's how my father died. Everything was rotted in his throat. He had nothing left. The pain that this man was going through, handcuffed to a fucking bed, was unbearable. And he choked on his own vomit and blood. Never said uncle. Never. Walked it all the way to the gate. Valor. Whether you respect the choices he made in his life or not, whether you respect what he was in his life, criminal, not whatever he was, he still believed in what he was, and he walked it all the way to the gate. Gravano did not do that. He does not have that right. He does not have that right. And getting back to what I said, if a federal judge knew these particulars, I believe, make them accountable. Yeah, let them become a rat. Let them go into the program. Do whatever you're going to do. And once your time, if you commit any violations, you have to go back in front of that judge. And that judge can now bring it all home. He can give you all that time. He can send it right up your backside.
You're going to think I'm crazy when I tell you this, but the last 13 and a half years, I've been working on my first fiction book to write, ever. Fiction book to write. And while I finished this book, a year ago, I got the strangest phone call about one of the characters in the book where the guy wanted to meet with me and he read the book. And afterwards, it's like, wait a minute, am I the villain in the book? This is a story about a character named Asher, who is half Armenian, half Assyrian, whose father was involved in the Iranian Revolution, linked to Savak, working with the Shah, that they escape and he gets recruited to a secret society. Well, when you go to the secret society, it's been around for a couple thousand years. They've developed some of the craziest leaders of all time. And they test you. There's unique tests that they have at this society where they test to see your emotional mental toughness. One of the tests that they have is very rigorous. It's purely mental. Of course, there's a physical one, but one is mental and emotional. If you're Armenian, if you're Syrian, if you're Persian, this is a book you're going to be reading and saying, holy moly, this is the kind of stuff you talk about in here? Yes. If you're somebody that's fascinated by history, this is a book for you. Characters. There's a technology that this society, secret society, builds where you go into a vault. I won't spoil it for you. When you go down, they have a technology where you get to sit down and watch and have a 3-4 hour conversation with Tupac. You can set up a debate between Karl Marx and Ayn Rand. Karl Marx is in the book, who wrote Communist Manifesto. Ayn Rand, who wrote Atlas Shrugged, is in the book. Marilyn Monroe explains the concept of seduction and sex in the book. When you read the book, it's about development of the next leaders in the world and how they do it and how they've been doing it for many years. And it's also about how to prevent the end of civilization and how this organization goes about doing it. So I've never written a parenting book before, but if I ever wrote a parenting book, this is the closest thing to it because it's all mindset, a lot of crazy stories. Again, 13 and a half years. Trust me, I told myself I will not publish this book until I sell my insurance company and I'm fully disconnected from it, where it's no longer my responsibility 100%. When you read this, if you're a creative person, if you like fiction books, if you enjoyed Atlas Shrugged, or if you enjoy Divergent, if you like books like that, I think you're gonna enjoy reading this book. It's the creative side. Business books is very easy. Here's how you do it. Here's how this how it works. This is very creative. If you haven't placed the order yet, now you can order it on Simon & Schuster, Amazon. I'm going to put the link up below somewhere here, maybe even in my profile. Go order the book and read it. I've never written a book where I can't wait to read your reviews to see what you think about this book. So I'm going on this wild journey and we have some plans with this book here. If you support the things that I work on, I would appreciate you going and reading the book, order the book on Amazon, and then post a review. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.